to Wednesday Wellness. So happy that you guys can join us, or hopefully you can watch the replay. We're so glad. I love doing these interviews. This is Wednesday Wellness for the Healthy Real Food Facebook group. And what we do in these interviews is just interview people who are really inspiring, who are living sugar and flour free and rocking their lifestyle, so that we can learn from them and so that we can all grow together. I think one of the best ways that we can develop a winning strategy is to learn from people who are really successful at the lifestyle. So Lori has agreed to come on to let me interview her. She is such an amazing person, and she's one of my close friends. And we've been living this lifestyle together. We were in a mastermind group together, and yeah, she has such a strong program. So she's lost 130 pounds. Maybe Lori, I'll let you tell us a little bit about yourself. And but yeah, before we talk about all of your amazing story, just tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, it's nice to see all of you. I am Lori. I live in the Salt Lake Valley. I am a mom of 3 teenagers, so that's fun and always keeping me busy. And then I have my husband. We've been married for 20 years. I work as a financial advocate at a local hospital here, so that keeps me really busy. And
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we used to be neighbors, so it's just been so fun to reconnect and to go through this experience together. So yeah, well, Lori, I want to just ask you some questions, and maybe we'll just, spend the first little while talking about you and interviewing you. And then if at the end of the call, if anyone has questions for Lori, you can just put them in the chat and we can answer them there. So if you have questions that come up, please just put them there, and we will ask Lori and get her advice on those. So anyway, Lori, what brought you to this sugar and flour free lifestyle? Like, how did you get introduced to it, and what prompted you to jump in and start living sugar and flour free?
Yeah, I struggled my whole life with weight loss. So many different attempts, like I'm sure all of you have had, that just worked for a minute and then failed. And, I was back up past where I had started. So before I started Sugar and Flour Free, I had attempted Weight Watchers, and I did okay for a while. I had lost 50 pounds. And then it just kind of got a little, wonky, you kind of aren't quite as strict with it. And I started gaining weight back. I think I gained about 20 pounds of those 50 pounds back. And my knees were hurting again, walking up the stairs. And I just had an epiphany one day. I'm like, I've got to do something drastic, or I'm just going to be crippled for the rest of my life. And I think it was that same day I saw a post that Erin posted on Facebook about her amazing journey. And she had lost, she was doing so great. And I'm like, I've got to know what she's doing. So I ordered the book, Bright Line Eating. And as soon as it came, I think I read it in 2 days. And it just made so much sense why I struggled on so many other diets and failed. And I just knew that this was the program for me. And it was really scary, of course, because so much revolves around food, your entertainment, with your family, like everything is entertainment, it's all food. And so that was kind of scary to know what life would bring, not having the food, those treats, those not my food that everyone else was participating in. But I just knew that this was something that I needed to jump in, and it works. it's truly has been a godsend to my life and answered my prayers in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And so if you haven't read the book Bright Line Eating and you're listening to this, we definitely recommend that you go get the book, read it. It's by Susan Pierce Thompson. You can go to brightlineeating.com. I am not endorsed or affiliated by them in any way, but I definitely recommend that people look into it because it is such a great resource to help you. And yeah, so I think I love what you said about, I really resonate with, when you just kind of realize, I can't live like this anymore. And you kind of get to that rock bottom place where it's just, you realize that it's not manageable anymore. To have all of that knee pain and to, just that trajectory of your life, if you continue on that path, that it's not going to lead to the life that you want. So I think that sometimes being in that rock bottom place, it gives us the courage that we need to make drastic changes. And so you talked about some of your fears with that, that it was scary for you to jump in with that. Tell us more about kind of those fears and how you have overcome that. Has that been a struggle for you?
It really hasn't. After I cut out the sugar and the flour, I felt so much better. And my family would always ask, when are you going to start eating sugar and flour again? And they still ask. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, not tomorrow, not today. Like, I feel good eating the way I eat right now. And, that's just how it is right now. Like, I can't see into the future, but my family and my friends are all very supportive of my lifestyle change, that it doesn't affect, that entertainment, and it doesn't affect our get-togethers. Like, they just know that I don't eat that, and they're fine. I'm fine with you eating whatever you want to eat. Like, there's no judgments here. I just don't eat that, and like, it's very comfortable, and we can still have a really good time, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because, yeah, it can be so scary in the beginning and overwhelming to think of it. But I love what you said, just kind of taking it one day at a time, not thinking about doing it forever, but just focusing on that, not doing it today and I'm not doing it tomorrow. And that's so powerful to have that kind of mindset. And then as you get those days under your belt, you start to see those benefits like you described, and and then it's just so motivating when you start to feel so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know cutting it out, like, everything feels better. My knees don't hurt going up and down the stairs. Like, I can break into a little jog and not get winded. Like, it's amazing, the benefits. And I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I could be down into my right size body ever.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your numbers, like where you started and how much weight you lost, and maybe some of the other non-scale victories that you experienced as well.
Yeah, sure. So I got up to my highest weight of 280 pounds back in, I think, November of 2018. It was just the next year that I started doing the Weight Watchers and lost about 50 pounds that year, but then it creeped up again, of course. So then starting sugar and flour free, I was, I think, at 248. And then right now I'm at 150. And so I've lost 130 pounds from my highest weight. My weight loss, so I started in March of 2021, no sugar, no flour. And I started my first maintenance ad in May of 2022. So just this year. So I've been in maintenance actually 7 months. Today is, so it was 7th of May is when I started maintenance.
Yay. So such a miracle. Isn't it, doesn't it just feel like a miracle? And I mean, I don't know if you can relate, but like I remember being 284 pounds and I remember feeling like it was so impossible to lose weight, and I was just kind of resigned to dying early and having all the diseases that come with obesity, and just such a miracle. Food is the best medicine, and look how you've changed your life around. It's incredible.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I got to the point where I just thought I just need to figure out how to be happy being overweight, because losing weight's impossible. Like I knew in my mind that there was no way that I could lose weight. So I was like, I just need to lose enough weight so my knees don't hurt anymore. Like starting this journey, like I didn't think that I could get down to where I am now. But it's possible. Like it's absolutely possible. If I can do it, anyone can do it, because I'm not special. Like I just take it one day at a time, and I've just made it who I am. Like it's just who I am.
yeah. Yeah. What are some of the other non-scale victories that you've experienced?
I don't know. Some of my favorite are that I can wear the same size clothes. Like I don't have to, I can pull something out of my closet and I can put it on and know that it's going to fit me. Another one is silly, but that I can walk into Costco and buy clothes. Like it seems like a silly thing, but I never could do that before. Like I just wouldn't even look down the clothing aisle, or even just I can walk into any store and I can buy clothes and know that they're going to fit me. And I don't have to go to a special store or go to a special area of a store that is not, isn't clothes that I would want to wear, because it's just not my style. It was really hard to find clothes that fit me before. And now I can walk in anywhere and find clothes. I can still clothes out of my daughter's closet. And so that's kind of fun to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just having one size of clothes in your closet is is a pretty great thing to visualize. I think when I was in the weight loss phase, that was one of the things that I would visualize. And I would just imagine that, like, because I think a lot of us, I remember a time when I had so many different sizes in my closet. But yeah, it's just, you know, um, that's such a fun non-scale victory. I love that one. So you talked about that you have a family, you have 3 kids, and have you had what are some of your tips about doing this with a family? Like, have you faced any obstacles with that?
My family's all very supportive. They're not, they don't participate in my lifestyle. So they still want the treats in the house. They still want to eat all of that food. And, as a mom, like, I just, have to be okay with that. Like, I can't take that away from them because they're too old. They're kind of set in their ways. Like, it's hard to try and change how they eat. And like, so I still will keep the stuff in the house, and I just know that's not my food. And I don't even think about it. I just,
Yeah, because your kids are like teenagers, high schoolers, and
they're all in high school. Yeah. So my husband, he'll eat what I eat, but he still eats what I don't eat. So he, maybe one day I'll get him to convert, but
right,
right
right.
now they're just, they're supportive of what I do. And sometimes they'll be like, Mom, you can't eat that. Or, Mom, I'm like, I can do whatever I want. I can eat that if I want to, but I don't want to eat that. Or, like, I think and those, saying that to them, I think was one thing that helped to solidify that as an identity for me. Like it was, I giving my body, like I know that it's something that I can eat if I choose to eat it. And I'm more focusing on what I am gaining and not so much on what I'm, on what I was giving up. And
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Just that it's kind of an opportunity for you to practice in like rewiring your brain, and you solidify your identity when you have those obstacles, and you're able to create that new identity for yourself. And we create a new identity for ourselves by watching our own behavior. So when we get to explain that to your loved ones, I think that's so cool that it does solidify your identity. That's great. And I love how you just are so good at keeping your eyes on your own plate, like not trying to change your whole family all at once. Because I think a lot of us that have family at home, that it's hard because we feel like we have to fix everyone's health too. But as moms, like I remember just feeling so guilty forever prioritizing my own self-care. And that's how I gained like 120 pounds over 10 years, right? Is by not prioritizing my self-care. But it's such a gift to your family when you can prioritize your needs and model that healthy behavior for them. I don't think that there's a better way that we can influence our family by just letting them see us do it, and but without pushing them, because I feel like that is key.
yeah.
It's at home.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of stand for yourself nights at my house because, a lot of the times my kids don't want to eat what I make. And I know we've had a rule kind of for a long time that if you don't eat what I make, then you get to make it yourself. You get to figure out it, you get to figure something out yourself. So sometimes I feel bad because, in those situations, they're just throwing in, easy food that maybe isn't necessarily the most healthy for them. But, I think that at least I'm setting a good example, and maybe one day they'll, realize that what they're eating isn't the most healthy. And,
Yeah. And I think our jobs as moms is not to force our kids to eat healthy, but just our only job as moms is to provide healthy options. It's their job what and how much of it they choose to eat. So we can't like force feed our kids, and they ultimately get to choose, but our job is just providing it. It's there if you will eat it. But yeah, it's always, I think that's the hardest part of being a parent, in my view, like feeding kids. But yeah, but I think it does sink in, like when they see you eating that they'll just naturally want to follow, and hopefully eventually.
Yeah, hopefully I'll keep my fingers crossed.
But even if not, like we still have to prioritize our self-care, and that's still a gift that we can give to them, because like you're able to show up as a mom who's energetic and confident, and that achieves big goals, and like what a gift you can give to your kids. So well, are there any other obstacles or challenges that you faced, in your program, and tell us about those and how you overcame them?
So I was kind of just jotting down some notes the other day, and one thing that I experienced a lot of during my weight loss phase is fatigue. I dealt with a lot of fatigue during my weight loss phase. I have hypothyroid, and so that certainly didn't help. And overcome that, I had to learn how to listen to my body, and to know and tell myself that it's okay not to do it all. Learn how to just take it easy for the night and tell the kids, like, you guys are taking care, you're going to take care of dinner tonight. Like, I'm not cooking dinner. Like, I would, have my dinner but there was a lot of those nights, and it was kind of hard to make, just be like, okay, I'm not cooking dinner. I'm not doing this. But it worked out so much better in the long run, because I think if I wouldn't have learned how to prioritize myself and my needs, I don't think I could have sustained what I was doing because of the fatigue I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really common issue that people have, because losing weight is hard on your body, and you just have to expect to be tired, in the weight loss phase. That it's really common for that, like extreme fatigue. And so just being so gentle with yourself and taking lots of naps and just like sleeping through the year, that it takes.
Yeah, it really, like, it's a hibernation year. It feels like it just,
Yeah, but yeah, but you need to rest. If you got to have, it's so important to be able to create those healthy margins in your life and have time to rest and to recover. But so when did your energy start to come back? I know a lot of people, it really varies a lot. Some people start to feel like their energy comes back only after a few weeks. Some it takes months. Some, like, it's not really until you get to maintenance and start adding food again. But for you, like, what was your experience?
Really, for me, it wasn't until I got to maintenance and started adding in the food that I felt like my energy started to come back. It was during the whole weight loss phase, and I waited the whole weight loss phase for that energy to come back. I'm like, they just said it was only going to take a few months, and it was the whole time. So I was so glad when I finally got to maintenance. I'm like, okay, like, this is, now I can feel like I have energy and I can,
Yeah.
conquer the world, or, so
Yeah.
it was nice to finally get that energy back.
Yeah, I was so shocked when I got to maintenance and I started adding food. I had never felt so much energy in my whole life. I would like wake up at like 5 a.m. without an alarm, just like so much energy. It was crazy. It felt so strange. But yeah, like if someone out there is listening and they're struggling with the fatigue, just know your energy, it will come back. Hang in there. Like, just be gentle and rest through it. Rest when you need to rest. Listen to your body, and yeah, your energy, it will come back eventually. So yeah, you did. So you did talk about how you have transitioned to maintenance, and so how is your life different now from when you started the program?
Now, my life is different now than when I started the program. I think, really, I think it's a lot different. When you first start the program, it's, so many, I thought I wrote this down, but now I can't find it. So let me see. Okay.
Yeah, I think, like, sometimes it's hard to remember how much we've, like, how different life is. Because when you get into maintenance and you start like just living in maintenance, you kind of forget how hard it is to be. And I thought that was interesting because I never thought that I would forget. But that's why journaling has been so helpful for me. And I'm so glad that I did journal so much during the weight loss phase, because I can look back and read those things, and it's such a reminder to me of how far I've come, and helps me not to take for granted what I have now. It helps me to stay on my plan now, just remembering what it was like.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wish I would have done would have kept a 5-year journal when I first started. I regret that so much because I keep one now, but man, it would be so fun to just be able to read that now and look year to year, just remembering that starting place.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I didn't think this was something that I could maintain long term. It's starting, it's scary. It's, even the first couple of weeks, you kind of just feel you're going through those, the detox and all of that stuff. And it is scary. Like, I think it's hard not to think about what you're giving up or, not think about, all of the stuff that you're giving up. And so it is a lot different because now I don't think about it. My kids will talk about different things and, I'll talk about it with them. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's good. Or because I remember what it tastes like, but I've had enough of that in my life. I've had enough to last me a lifetime of all of that, not my food that I made myself sick on, but now, like, I can't imagine my life any other way. Like, I love the food that I eat. I love the body that this food has given me. Like, I don't miss any of that stuff. And it just almost makes me feel sick, even just smelling it sometimes. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite mantras is like what you just said is, I know what that tastes like. I've had enough of it for a lifetime and I don't need it anymore. And, that's one that I have said to myself so many times, but it's helpful because it's like, yeah, our food is so abundant and it's beautiful and colorful and filling and, we live in such abundance. So it's cool that it's great to overcome that deprivation mindset, like, and yeah. So, well, what are some things that have helped you to be successful with your program? Like, what are some of the, like, have you, I'm sure during that 14 months, there were a lot of obstacles that came in your way. What are some of the tools that really helped you to be so successful and unstoppable?
I think really the number one thing is, and it took a while to get there, but is making this my identity. I think it took me probably about 5 months into my journey to realize that that I feel good and that this is something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. And once it kind of clicked in my mind, I was able to make that mindset change. There was so much peace that came along with that I don't even notice the stuff that I, used to just obsess over because I just don't even think about it anymore. Because that's just not who I am. That's not what I eat. And it's just like a vegetarian doesn't eat meat. I don't eat sugar and flour, and that's just who I am. Having those mantras available, to repeat to yourself, if even just silently walking through the store, it's really hard when you first start out, and those first few trips to the grocery store are torture. But walking through and seeing those things that you just want to put in your basket, that's not my food. That's not my food. And I would repeat that to myself the whole time going through the grocery store. Just having those mantras that help keep you motivated. And like I said before, my family would be like, you can't have that, or my mom can't do this, my mom can't have that. I'm like, I can have that. I can have whatever I want. am choosing not to do that. And they almost make fun of me for that sometimes, just because they're like, you always say that, you know. But I think it really does. Like, you have to focus on the things that you're gaining and not the things that you're giving up, because, you know, you're just gonna, if you can't look towards the future of the things, of all of the wonderful things you're gaining, you're going to keep looking back, and you're going to keep wanting to go back to that old lifestyle, but then you're just going to be right back where you were. You know, you've got to just keep plugging along, and it's okay to make mistakes. You know, I definitely didn't have a perfect journey. You know, there was a lot of days that I didn't want to, I didn't want to do all of the things that I knew that I needed to do, or I just didn't want to cook dinner. I didn't want to, but I'm like, I don't want to go back to the other way either. So you just keep plugging along, and eventually you get there. If you fall down, just get back up and get right back on track. Don't wait until Monday to start again, because Monday never comes as far as weight loss goes. I know that it never did for me, because I'm an all or nothing kind of person. At least I was. But over this journey, I've learned to be forgiving of myself, and to be forgiving of those slips and falls, having a bite off plan, or, having a snack, or going over on my quantities. Like, I've learned to just brush it off. Okay, well, that just happened, and get right back on track. The next meal, even sometimes the next bite, it's like, okay, well, that was that, and it's over. And I didn't, but like, focus on it, or, just keep beating myself up for the little mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think that, in my coaching program, the thing that I love to teach are that one of the main pillars of success is mastering your mindset. Like, losing weight is such a mental game. And like you described, like, we have to learn to control our thoughts. We have to learn to rewire our way of thinking. And mantras are such a powerful tool. Writing them down and saying them out loud is even more powerful than thinking them. And transformational language, like, instead of saying I can't eat that, you say, no, you use words that are empowering, like, I choose not to eat that, I don't eat that. Or, like, not if I will get to my goal, it's when I will get to my goal. And you are such a good example of that how important that is, and how it's helped you in your program. And just having that abundance mindset, it's so natural for people to feel like have some deprivation thoughts when you're giving up sugar and flour, but we have to transform that. We have to reframe our thinking for it to be a long-term successful lifestyle for us, because no one wants to feel deprived their whole life. And the truth is that we're not deprived. It is such we live in such abundance. We have so much food. You don't have to starve yourself to lose weight. And just having that, shifting from that deprivation to abundance mindset is so powerful. But I think a lot of people, like you described, struggle with that perfectionism and that all or nothing mentality. I know in my coaching program, that's the thing that we probably talk about the most is overcoming perfectionism. And that can be so hard to do. I think you're not alone, Lori. Like, a lot of us, like, I know I struggled with that too, and had the all or nothing mentality for so many years. And, but success in this lifestyle, really, we have to learn to overcome that perfectionism, realize that failure can become our friend. We can learn from it. It can make our program stronger if we do some self-reflection and adjust our strategy. And, overcoming the all or nothing mentality really comes down to course correcting quickly, not waiting until Monday. And so those are such great tools that you just shared with everyone. And I think that they are so key for success in mastering your mindset. So, well, let me ask you, Lori, in the last couple of minutes that we have. Whoops, sorry, I'm just trying to find my notes. But what advice would you give to someone who's just starting this program, just starting living sugar and flour free, and they feel overwhelmed? Or, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling and, trying to get back on track, but having a hard time, executing their plan?
I would say just be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. Like it's all of the notes that I wrote down for for that question was like we kind of already talked about how just it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to have downfalls. And I honestly had to I've got a little ADA brain or ADD brain, and I had to adjust the program to make it work for me. Like there was a lot of things within, that in the Bright Line Eating book recommended that you do. And I would beat myself up if I wasn't able to do all of them in a day. And I think that was just damaging to my soul. It was always, I felt like I was beating myself up because I missed something, and so I learned that it was okay that I didn't write in my journal that day, or that I didn't get up and meditate, or I had to learn how to adjust the program to make it work for me and to make it work for my life. And once I was able to do that, like I was at peace with it. And there are things I'm like, oh yeah, I would like to do that, but it's not a make or break for the program. It's really, and those things are great. Like I would love to get into meditation, and someday that may happen and that might work for my life. But right now I'm so busy with my kids and I'm not a morning person. So it's really hard to wake up in the morning sometimes. And I don't want to find myself beating myself up because I didn't get up and get that done that morning. It's just, I want to do the things that make my life better in that moment. And sometimes it's not biting off more than I can chew. And that's really, that's my advice, is find the things that work for you and make them work for you. Don't feel like you have to do it all if that doesn't work for your life.
Yeah. And I think there's so much power when we go from doing someone else's program that they've created to when we make it our own and we customize it for our lifestyle and we take ownership of it. And, when you listen to your intuition or you pray about it and you know what's best for you and your program and you make that your program, it's kind of a different it's just different because you don't have the shame and guilt from not doing it perfectly. I think it's important at some point to eventually make it your own. And I
think it's empowering to be able to do that too.
Yeah.
I feel better because this is it's my choice to live the program that I've created for me and not something that somebody else is telling me to do. I'm doing it because I want to do it. And I know that this is what I want to do and not somebody else telling me that that this is the way it has to be.
Right. Right. And I think in the beginning, it's definitely so helpful to have that structure, to have that guidance, and, to just follow the plan as it's written. But there is no one size fits all meal plan for everybody. And so you do have to find ways to make it work for you. And doing that, running it past someone who's experienced is important in kind of figuring that out. You don't want to just change your program willy-nilly and
Yeah.
and tinker with it. But yeah, it is something that you can customize to make work for you. And it takes some experimenting, and you have to kind of approach it like a scientist. And it doesn't mean that you should ever get back into the sugar and flour. For most people, that's not the answer, right? That's not really what we're talking about. But just taking ownership of your program, and I think that that's such an important thing to do eventually. And I love what you talked about with just being patient. This is a process. It takes time to transform. You're not going to see these changes overnight. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 3 years, but just be so patient and consistent. And over time, after time, you just see this incredible transformation. But it does take time. So just like you said, being so patient and just taking it one day at a time. So, Lori, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it's always hard to be vulnerable, but there's so much power in vulnerability and in sharing your story and your struggle and how you've overcome it. So I just appreciate you. You're such an inspiration, and I am so glad that you came on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And thank you, everyone who's watching the replay. We are here for you. If you have questions about your program, you can go in the Healthy Real Food community and ask those questions in the Facebook group. There's so many people like Lori who are just so seasoned and experienced and can help you to overcome the challenges that you're facing. So I hope that you'll use that as a resource. And I really look forward to connecting with all of you in there. I hope you guys have a good day. And yeah, thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye, Lori. See ya. Bye, everybody.